You were made to be ruled. In the end, it'll be every man for himself.
What do we do?
I'm going down south, I'm gonna have myself a time.
Friendly faces everywhere, humble folks without temptation.
Going down south, I'm gonna leave my woes behind.
And we're parking there on that, people spouting howdy neighbor.
Heading on up south, I'm gonna see if I can't unwind. Come on down south, I can meet some friends of mine.
Born in Denver, Colorado, Trey Parker began playing piano at the age of 12. He majored in music and Japanese at the University of Colorado in Boulder, but after meeting Matt Stone, with whom he would go on to create the award-winning animated series South Park, he got sidetracked. The two skipped classes in order to produce comedic shorts. In 1994, Parker wrote, directed, and produced his first feature-length film, Cannibal the Musical, a live-action film based on the life of Colorado cannibal Alfred Packer. Brian Graydon, a Fox Lab executive, saw it and commissioned Parker and Stone to create a Christmas video card that he could send to his friends. The 5-minute short, The Spirit of Christmas, in 1995, was the result, featuring Santa, Jesus, and the South Park Kids, and went on to win the Los Angeles Film Critics Award for Best Animation. South Park made its debut on Comedy Central in 1997. Due to the success of the series, Parker and Stone released the full-length film South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. And infamous for its song Blame Canada, Parker earned an Oscar nomination for Best Original Song.
But what is the source? Oh, that's easy. Times have changed. Our kids are getting worse. They won't obey their parents. They just want to fart and curse. Should we blame the government or blame society?
Or should we blame the images on TV?
No, blame Canada. Blame Canada. For their beady little eyes and flapping heads up on the lies. Blame Canada. Blame Canada. We need to form a full assault. It's an assault.
Parker also wrote, directed, and starred in his second live-action feature, Orgazmo, in 1997, about a Mormon who makes it big in the Los Angeles adult film world. He and Stone teamed up again to write, direct, and provide voices for the feature film Team America World Police in 2004, which features marionettes in the main roles.
Hey, terrorists! Terrorize this!
So what is an auteur? The idea of an auteur in the film industry comes from an essay written in 1954 by a French film director and critic, Francois Truffaut. The term auteur is used to describe a director who leaves his personal stamp on the works they produce, such as that of Alfred Hitchcock, Stanley Kubrick, or Tim Burton. He wrote then that the director should use the commercial apparatus the way a writer uses a pen, through the mise-en-scène, imprint his or her vision on the work, thus taking up Alexander Ostrich's theory of the camera stylo, or camera pen. As a result, to achieve authorship, the director should impregnate their work with their own personal style and vision, using their artistic sensitivity, technical skills, camera work, lighting, choice of actors, etc. Also, a director who does not have a marked visual style but whose films have recurring themes can also be qualified as auteur. According to Truffaut, the main characteristics of an auteur are thematic or stylistic consistencies, recurring themes, established techniques, defined views of the world, and a degree of control over the production.
I know exactly what I want. I want to walk in and say, do it. That's the director's job. The term director means direct, mate, do the job. My film, the film that I make at the end of the day is my movie. It may be a team thing as well, but I'm taking the knocks, I'm taking the bashes, and probably I've developed it, etc., etc. So yes, it's my movie. And I'm inviting people to come in and do it, and that's what a director is.
To a degree, by focusing the artistic work solely on the director, it does deny the contribution and talent by the collaborators. In the course of my discussion, I intend to demonstrate that Parker and Stone control more or less every aspect of their productions, thus earning their right to be regarded as auteurs. Both Stone and Parker became close friends through their long love of the Monty Python series, being heavily influenced by Terry Gilliam's cutout animation and the most random, even irrelevant to the story, but still hilarious gags. Gilliam has used this in the Monty Python series to great effect. Likewise, Stone and Parker used cutout animation in their pilot episode, Cartman Gets an Anal Probe. Subsequent episodes were created through the use of computer software that simply emulated the likeness of the cutout technique of animation. Terry Gilliam and the Python team did not change their filmmaking style in spite of public pressure that they were offensive and blasphemous, most notably for The Life of Brian, a film about a man called Brian Cohen who's mistaken as the Messiah. Like the Pythons, Stone and Parker did not want to be swayed by public opinion. Both Stone and Parker state their influences in the following interview at the Paley Center in 2000.
Tell us about some of the influences in your early days, both television and comedy.
I think both. I think the obvious and the answer we always, Matt and I met and got along so well because we were just pure Python freaks, you know, and you know, that was definitely the connection. And we just did the typical, you know, geeky thing that everybody does where we sit there and do skits for each other, you know, and stuff like that. And that really was the connect. And I think that was actually, out of all the people we've met, we were at the Aspen Comedy Festival a couple years ago, and this guy comes over and he's like, "Hey, the Python guys really want to meet you guys. You want to come over here?" And we're just like, "Oh, God."
It turned out the guy, it was this little sweaty short guy, he's like all freaky looking. He's like, "You guys want to meet the Pythons?" We're like, "Who are you?" It turns out it was Eddie Izzard.
Yeah.
Now I realize he's a total genius. And we're like,
Yeah.
"Who are you, freaky
Like,
weirdo?"
all right, freaky guy. Take us to Python and get out of here.
They were like, "Can you leave? We're talking with Python." But yeah, we every time I see any of those guys anywhere, which isn't very often, but every once in a while I'll see them someplace and I just freak out. Just like freak out.
And
like
I think
a little
the
girl
thing
at a
that,
Spice Girls concert, just I get all freaky, I get all sweaty, freak out.
the thing that we took from that was, I mean, you can watch those episodes and you realize they were just in their own world and they just didn't give a f about what the normal comedy thing to do was. And I think that's what, from the beginning with South Park, we're like, we got to do that, you know. Even if everyone starts saying, well, we need more of this and we need more of that, it's just like, whatever, you know. And the Python episodes just got weirder and weirder and kind of just went away, and that's what we want to do too.
Just as Gilliam and the Python crew used unpredictable and even irrelevant to the plot gags in their works, so too did Parker and Stone introduce the same type of humor into their works. As an example, they present this comedic style in the episode entitled Insecurity, in which the men of the town form a vigilante-type group, violently beat up the UPS delivery man, thinking that he has been having an affair with all of their wives. When they take part in this violence, all the men wear Bane masks, the same mask worn by the villain Bane in Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight Rises. The humor comes from the use of the mask's random, no reasoning and no explanation appearance in the episode.
Ah! Who are you? It doesn't matter who we are. What matters is our plan. You should have respected my authority. Woo!
Parker and Stone's works are always marked with strong contrasts and clashes, one of the strongest reasons behind their successful humor. Whether they are focused around that of themes, cultures, or actual characters, contrasts and clashes are always in play. In their hit cartoon South Park, the majority of clashes occur between Kyle Broflovsky, the Jewish kid, normally the voice of care and reason, and Eric Hartman, the fat racist Christian boy of the group, representing the voice of irrationality and chaos.
Funny how voting works in this country, isn't it, Cal? Each one of these, a person. Someone who took the time to actually get themselves informed, actually got up and drove to a voting area to make sure their voice was heard.
You're not getting away with this, you fat turd!
Run now, little firefly. It's all part of the plan.
Sweetie, there's a Mr. Poon Lee Chow on the phone for you.
Thanks, Mom. I'll take that in the study. Do I have a study? I don't think I have a study. That's fine.
In the South Park movie, the four boys see a controversial R-rated movie featuring Canadians Terrence and Phillip. The boys begin cursing incessantly, and their parents pressurize the United States to wage war against Canada because it corrupted their children. This is a comment of how quickly and often irrationally society jumps to put the blame solely on a product and the people behind it. In 2004, Stone and Parker released their 2004 satirical action comedy film, Team America: World Police. The overarching joke of the film comes from the fact that they're using cheap puppets as actors who feature in these large action set pieces. Many of the characters and themes they write about come from experiences, the culture and people whom they grew up with during their childhood. The running gag of Kenny dying in almost every episode came from the fact that as children, they would always wonder where that same kid went to, as stated in this interview.
My friend Kenny, who at the bus stop all the time, he had the little orange coat, and he would always say we couldn't understand him. We're like, we can't understand you, you know. And but he was the poorest kid in the neighborhood, and that's why, you know, it was always like, that's why we're always like, he would always sort of we're like, what happened to Kenny? Is he dead? You know, and just like, you know, but he was sort of, you know, a lot of characters were based on real people.
Throughout the running of the show over the last 16 years, Stone and Parker have commented on many widely diverse topics. These include religion and freedom of speech. Many topics include particular current events, scandals, or new media. For example, in 2006, during the finale to its 10th season, they premiered the two-part episode entitled Go God Go. With religion often forming the subject matter of South Park, this two-parter satirizes atheism, as well as famous evolutionary biologist and atheist Richard Dawkins, whose best-selling book, The God Delusion, was published in the months before the episode's broadcast.
Again, you know, it was kind of like the only point, you know, we had tons of points we wanted to make about atheism. We had tons of arguments with Dawkins' book. We had tons of things we wanted to say. But when you're doing a show like this, it's like you got to just kind of hone it down to sort of one idea. And the one idea was just basically like, the one thing that Dawkins had basically asserted in his book was if we got rid of religion, the world would be peaceful and there'd be no war and there'd be no... Not as much war. And it's just ridiculous because it's like, you know...
Our whole point is people are going to fight no matter what.
And especially for an evolutionist to think that, because an evolutionist of anyone should realize that that's how life works, is it wars upon itself in one way or another. It eats itself, it fights itself, and that's how biology works, you know. And so it was really just sort of that assertion that we wanted to rip on. And also the assertion that basically some of the super intelligent scientist people can be really retarded when it comes to just sort of common sense.
Yeah.
And that's why Dawkins ends up, you know, having sex with Garrison, not having no idea that it's actually he was a man.
Right.
Social satire is a recurring theme as well. Stereotyped characters have been used many times in their works, whether it's hippies or the U.S. Army in South Park.
We noticed your hybrid out front. That's a V-Series, right? Wow, so everyone here drives a hybrid, huh?
Oh, of course. We're a little more progressive and ahead of the curve here in San Francisco. Anyway, I'm sure you'll find it much better here.
Shake that.
Nihama, South Park Elementary! Konnichiwa!
Our famous movie stars in Team America: World Police.
Last year, I went to Iraq. Before Team America showed up, it was a happy place. They had flowery meadows and rainbow skies and rivers made of chocolate where the children danced and laughed and played with gumdrop smiles.
And Matt Damon.
Matt Damon.
Or greedy film producers in Orgazmo.
You're gonna finish this film.
You don't own me.
You wanna bet I don't?
Trey Parker, growing up, was a huge fan of the musical works by Richard Rodgers and Oscar Hammerstein II, who were behind some of the biggest musicals in history, such as Oklahoma, Carousel, South Pacific, The King and I, and The Sound of Music.
I want a thing about it now. Yeah.
Every single one of Parker's and Stone's works have included musical numbers written by the duo themselves. The way and how they write their songs are similar in how they write their humorous gags. Some songs have an underlying message, like Up There, stating that morality isn't so black and white, as it's sung by the devil of all people.
They say I don't belong. I must stay below alone. Because of my beliefs, I'm supposed to stay where evil is sown. But what is evil anyway? Is there reason to the rhyme? Where Without evil there can be no good, so it must be good to be evil sometimes.
Whereas some are just plainly used for satirical humor. Such as Now You're a Man, the theme song from Orgazmo, a satire of superhero themes like Queen's Flash Gordon theme song.
Now you're a man! A man, man, man! Now you're a man! A mounty, mounty, man! A man, man, man! You are now a man! You're a man! Now you're a man!
Most of Parker Stone's works show the world as seen through a person or people that society has in one way or another created a stereotype of them on how they should behave, but showing how they actually behave. For example, people make the stereotype of children, thinking that they should behave as normal children, sweet and innocent characters.
Really tough, you know, it's really hard. It's like we've dedicated all this time and all our lives to saving these majestic creatures.
Through both the four main children and the other supporting child cast in South Park, they are, with some more than others, depicted as rude, foul-mouthed, and offensive.
I just don't care. At all. Kenny, you don't care about whales and dolphins being slaughtered?
Dan, he and Kenny don't give two shits about stupid-ass whales!
I wanna roll with him, a hard pair we will be. I don't give a crap about whales, so go and hug a tree. I love it.
Parker and Stone have stated in interviews that they, through their own experiences of childhood, see this as a more realistic depiction of children's behavior. In episodes when a catastrophe has happened, caused by the children, they normally always learn a lesson by the end of it, which are mostly Parker and Stone's personal statements on the matter. While the children learn from it, the adults almost never do. In Team America, the main character, Gary Johnson, is a Broadway actor who is to use his acting talents to infiltrate terrorist organizations. Another member of the agency, Chris, doesn't trust him because of his past work as an actor. He views Gary as selfish, fame-hungry, and two-faced, with the suspicion that he'll betray the group to the Film Actors Guild, so as to get bigger in his acting career. A common stereotyped view on celebrity culture. By telling their stories this way, Parker and Stone subtly present to their audience a way of seeing a different perspective of people that are categorized into different stereotypes, whether it's children, celebrities, and people of different religions, beliefs, or ethnicities. Over their 20-year-long career, Parker and Stone have worked to the entirety in whatever work they produce, whether it's TV or film, satire or social commentary, that it is quite clearly their product and nobody else's. Parker and Stone have directed, written both scripts and musical numbers, produced, acted, and voice acted in their works from Cannibal the Musical and Orgazmo to Team America World Police and the South Park movie, and the continuing success of their TV cartoon.
We're trying to find out exactly what Kyle agreed to. There can't be anything in that agreement that allows a company to do what they're talking about to Kyle.
Hold up, here it is right here. By clicking agree,
you are also acknowledging that Apple may sew your mouth to the butthole of another iTunes user.
Oh boy.
I'm gonna click on decline.
While some of their early works were mainly toilet humor.
Gross, Packer!
What the hell kind of language is that?
I don't know, just keep laughing.
When I was on top of you.
They progressed more as artists and gained more creative control. They gradually made more of the stories that they themselves wanted to tell to their audience and how they thought about subjects. Although today in 2013, just off the back of their 16th season of South Park, Parker and Stone have more or less complete artistic freedom now, but they did face a great many struggles when producing their art, including interruption by executives and death threats, some by extremist groups linked to terrorist organizations. In their 14th season, episodes 200 and 201 were mired in controversy for satirizing issues surrounding the depiction of the Islamic prophet Muhammad. The website for the organization, Revolution Muslim, a New York-based radical Muslim organization, posted an entry that included a warning to creators Parker and Stone that they risk violent retribution for their depictions of their deity, Muhammad. In the 9th season, 2005, the episode Trapped in the Closet, Stan Marsh denounces Scientology as nothing more than a big fat global scam. The episode also ambiguously parodies the rumors involving the sexual orientation of Scientologist Tom Cruise.
Comedy Central decided not to repeat an episode ridiculing Scientology and Cruise's sexuality.
Dad, Tom Cruise won't come out of the closet.
Cruise allegedly wanted the episode pulled, or he wouldn't promote his new Paramount movie, Mission Impossible 3. Isaac Hayes, the voice of Chef, also a Scientologist, later quit South Park because of his objection to the episode. In 2000, in an interview at the Paley Center, creators Stone and Parker talk about their alterations with the studio while working on the film South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut.
So we need this, this, and this. So we need Cartman saying this. And it's like, well, I do Cartman, I ain't doing it. And, we need animation of this. And Eric's like, well, I ain't drawing it. I ain't animating it. And so they got really f***ing angry, right? And threatened to sue us and everything. And they said, you don't understand, we're spending $300,000 on this video. And so Matt and I said, okay, fine, you know what? We'll pay for the video. Like, we'll pay for the video, just let us do what we want to do.
And do it next week, and we'll get on MTV, and you don't have to do shit. We'll send it to MTV, and you just get out of our hair, and we'll just pay for it.
And they were like, well, the president of MTV doesn't want that. He wants a Kid Rock song. And we're like, well, the president of MTV now happens to be Brian Graydon, who we made this whole thing for, and he's like one of our best friends. So anyway, Matt writes a memo. There's these great memos that went to Paramount, but my favorite one was Matt saying, here's our official position. We
figured out a way to make the video work.
Yeah, it was called A Formula for Success. And it said, dear Paramount, we have figured out a way to make this video work. It's our formula for success. Cooperation plus you doing nothing equals success.
On the surface, many critics will unfairly not regard Stone and Parker's auteurs. This title is commonly reserved for filmmakers such as Woody Allen, Stanley Kubrick, Tim Burton, or Hitchcock. Audiences as instantly recognizable often describe their works even if you watch one of their works from the middle. My own personal experience is that when I watched Team America World Police without knowing the directors of the movie, I felt throughout the whole film that the humor and overall tone was something similar to what was portrayed in South Park. So when I ultimately found out Parker and Stone were the creative minds behind it, I was not surprised in the least. South Park's frequent depiction of taboo subject matter have been the main sources for generating controversy and debate over the course of its run. What really makes Trey Parker and Matt Stone auteurs, and also great storytellers in general, are their unique visual style, which has influenced a whole generation, including that of Family Guy and American Dad. Maybe not so directly, but like Hitchcock's Psycho catapulted the slasher film, many comedic shows at the present moment in time probably wouldn't go on air without Parker and Stone's influence. Commentary made in episodes have been interpreted as statements Parker and Stone are attempting to make to the viewing public, and these opinions have been subject to much critical analysis in the media and literary world. Since South Park debuted, college students have written term papers and doctoral theses analyzing the show, while Brooklyn College offers a course called South Park and Political Correctness. Over the course of this essay, I have stated with evidence how Parker and Stone use their comedy to examine major topical issues such as celebrity culture, racism, what it truly means for somebody to voice their views to the world, sometimes in threat of danger.
Of Muslims do not want to act on the scripture, but they are silent when fellow Muslims do.
But I mean, like in South Park, this cartoon, whether you like South Park or not, they show Buddha snorting cocaine. You don't see death threats or warnings from Buddhists.
And you don't see death threats from Jews when Moses is depicted in an unbecoming position, and you don't see threats from Christians when Jesus Christ is made, is put in a satire position. So it is only, and this is the strong thing, the South Park episode of last weekend was not just funny and it wasn't just witty, it was also, it addressed an essential piece in the times that we are living. There is one group of people, one religion that is claiming to be above criticism. And I hope that in the aftermath of this, that we discuss that.
The saying, "it's funny because it's true," has never been more appropriate. More importantly, I have shown that they are involved in the creation of the stories, the tone, and the overall production of whatever work they produce. In fact, when fairly analysed, they are involved at every level of the filmmaking that is required to be considered to be an auteur. If they weren't in charge, South Park wouldn't be South Park, and Team America probably wouldn't exist, as well as Orgazmo and Cannibal the Musical. On the basis of this, even though they aren't a common choice, it is fair to say that Parker and Stone may be regarded as auteurs and two of the most controversial, thought-provoking, and overall important voices in both film and television and present-day culture.
Come on down to South Park and